I'm an alcoholic.
Great.
Yeah, good game of rugby yesterday. Jeez. And the nice thing is I remember it, and I will remember it. You know what I mean? In years to come, I'll remember yesterday's game of rugby. 24 years ago when we won the Rugby 95 World Cup, I don't remember the game, but I remember waking up in jail after crashing into a police van. And that's kind of the story of my life, you know what I mean? That wasn't the beginning of it, and it certainly wasn't the end of me living in the problem. I guess, let me start, but before that, I come from a family, there are five boys, I'm the youngest. So I always had something to prove. I always wanted to outdo my bigger brothers or have the freedom they had when I wasn't ready for that, you know what I mean? I guess you can only handle what you can handle at the appropriate time, and I wasn't ready to handle kind of hanging out with my older brothers, and that when I was 13, I was expelled, and I was very angry about that. For once, I actually hadn't done anything wrong the first time, you know what I mean? And I hung on to that. Wow, I hung on to that. That was the start of my justification for defending the disease, I suppose. And yeah, from there, I was angry. I was really an angry child growing up. I grew up with alcoholism in my house. My dad, all my brothers, we were all kind of the same. And yeah, just prior to crashing into that police van in October, in September, my brother Paul had shot himself. And the last time I'd seen him was in August on my 18th, and I hung on to that. I took away any kind of compassion towards my mom, who had lost a child, or my dad, who had lost a son, my brothers, who had lost a son. It was all about me and what I had lost. And I held on to that, you know. I was a victim, always a victim of life. Yeah, I'll jump back and forth a bit. I might throw in some words from our sister fellowship, so for any of the pure breeds out there, here's some growth. Yeah, from when I was 13 and in my angry stage and really feeling like life was against me and there was no God. I remember even before that, I'd lie in bed and cry at night waiting for my dad to come home, and geez, I just wish he wouldn't come home. But I never looked at what kind of life he had. You know, he had been on the border since he was 18. He had spent a lot of time in the military. He had seen things, and he had his own issues, and he was one of us. So he suffered from the disease, and he never had the opportunities I've been given. But yeah, so from a young age, there's a lot of fear, and I used to try and I guess show the world how bad and how much I was hurting by cutting myself, and I used to cut myself terribly. I remember the one night I bled out on the pavement when I think I'd just turned 14. Hacked myself up terribly, and that was my life, you know. I'd blame everyone, and I'd show the world how wrong, how badly it had wronged me, and how much I was suffering, and I'd carry that on for the next 28 years, and it was really not a nice place, and it led me down some dark roads. So yeah, after that initial contact with the police van, and it wouldn't be my last run-in with the law, I kind of went through life always looking for the easier, softer way, and justifying why I had the right to take, or why I had the right to break the law, or why I had the right to be entitled to more. You know, that's basically the bottom line. I was entitled, I deserved more. God had left me and the world was a big bad place. and if I was going to make it, I had to make it on my own. Always feeling very separate and apart, even though I had a family of brothers that we had never let one another down, and yet I guess we did in the long run without knowing it. Yeah, my poor mum, shame. She'll have 1 or 2 drinks a year, if that. She had an alcoholic husband and 5 alcoholic children. And yeah, so what went on there? Let me think. I get lost every now and then. It's been a long time. And yeah, I had a relationship from when I was 13 till I was 30. Poor girl. Took her 17 years. And I really believed I loved her. We're engaged, kind of trying to hold things together, and that I'd always be off making money quick and easy. I had abalone diving licenses. I used to make quite good money very quickly. I dived my quota in a couple of days, and that'd be like my money for the year. And yeah, shame. She really stuck with me, and the truest thing she ever said to me was, "I'll never be enough for you." And she wasn't. Nothing was ever enough for me. I went through life after that, say 30, 31, yeah, when she left me for good. Best thing she ever did. And that's where I really, I had no fix other than alcohol and drugs. And because of my mind and my madness, I really and truly felt that it was me against the world. You know what I mean? There'd be all the rebel, there'd be the anarchy and the rebel movies and the rebel music, and that was mine. You know what I mean? A friend of mine reminded me yesterday, I used to always say, do-gooders do nothing but cause problems. That was my mindset. Do-gooders cause nothing but problems. Meaning people trying to help you or people trying to teach you the right things. So yeah, after my 30s or so, I'd been involved in court cases after that initial drunk and driving charge for abalone, poaching and things like that. A lot of misdemeanor drunken disorderlies, your usual weekend stays, but I'd never gone to prison. But that was to come, because this being the progressive disease it is, jail's institution and death, that was my next stop along the road. And I got really entrenched, I'd say, with organized crime and being involved with gangs and unsavory people that did horrible, nasty, violent things to people. And yeah, it didn't take long till something went wrong, you know what I mean? I'd had loads and loads of cases which were maybe little warning signs. They were more than warning signs. It was like a matador with a red flag, you know what I mean? I should have stopped, but I didn't stop, and I kept going and picked up my first sentence. And I was sentenced to prison for 4 years, where I continued my involvement with gangs inside the prison and just that way of life, doing things and really not having any care for anyone else, because that's also like one of my most defining characteristics of when I was living in the problem was I was possibly the most selfish human being I had met, and yet in my delusion I thought I wasn't. I thought, well, I've left home. I'm not really like a burden on my mom or this, but I was. She'd always be there to help me. she'd be at the prison at 5 a.m. to visit me for 40 minutes, and get out of the prison by 1 p.m. on her 65-year-old knees. You know what I mean? She had knee ops and knee replacements, and she'd do that. And the weird thing is, when I was in prison, I remember saying to her, Mom, the strange thing is when I'm here, I'm actually the best person I've been in a long time. And I didn't click, it's because I wasn't taking drugs or drinking, you know what I mean? I was starting to have to even care about other people. And because I think inherently humans aren't bad, the majority of them. I think deep down we all, and I try not to speak for everyone, but in this I will say mankind isn't inherently bad, and we have the capability of being good. But I'd lost that from the age of 13. I did not have that capability. And when I was doing my robberies and my drug dealings and whatever, I always prided myself on this thing: no women, no children, until I was about to get caught by a woman, and she had to be hit for me to escape where I was robbing. So that went out the window, you know what I mean? Even in the height of my crime, and when I knew I wasn't a good person, I still tried to hold on to these little morals that eventually, even there, I lost. And until I was nothing. I was absolutely nothing but anger and resentment and all the character defects we learn about through the program. All the character defects that were my masks to save that fearful, selfish, self-centered little boy that used to cry hoping his alcoholic dad wouldn't come home. Because he lived on, you know what I mean? But I got older and the world got badder, so the masks became more real and more projected. The more fearful I was, the worse I had to act, the worse positions I put myself in, until eventually I was on the Cape Flats with gangsters. Those were the masks, you know what I mean? I've seen some horrific things around me. I've been part of some horrible things. In prison, I've seen people die in front of me for nothing more than 10 grams of tobacco. That's how cheap life became. And I guess when it came to the end of it, like the Sister Fellowship preamble that reads, when at the end of the road I could no longer go on as a human being, function as a human being. When that moment came and I was digging for my gun because I really and truly wanted to die, I believe if I found it at 3 a.m. in the rain, I would have died. I would not be sitting here, and that would have meant that all that pain and what I perceived to be suffering at the time would have been in vain. But it's not in vain, because as I try and remind myself, it's not about me anymore. And like the suggestion in the preamble says, we share our experience, strength and hope, kind of what it used to be like, what happened, what it's like now. And that's for me to pass on. And one of the counselors up at treatment, the one filled with compassion and empathy, said to me when we were talking, she said, "Yeah, Craig, it kind of gives purpose to the pain of your past." And I liked that, and I latched onto it, you know, because that's what recovery's given me. It's given me purpose to the pain of my past. No dark roads I went down, no bad decisions I made. Nothing was in vain, if I can put it to someone else and try and carry a message. I try to do that. I try and do that within the fellowship where I can, and I try to go to do H&I, and the connection I've got with the prisoners, because I've been a prisoner, I can't explain it. I'm not better than anyone else carrying a message, and that's the beautiful thing about this program. We all have our unique place, because we all have our unique journeys and our unique experiences, which will help us help that one person that's going to come in our path. And moving into recovery, what happened? Couldn't find my gun, and like a hardened criminal jailbird, I sat on my ass and phoned my mom and started crying. And that's kind of where the journey of my recovery starts. Well, actually, I lie. The golden thread started 2 years before that. My brother Rob had hit his rock bottom and said, Craig, I need to go to rehab. These, like a proper rehab, these ones around here that are like holidays, it's not going to work for me. So while I was high as a kite, I was looking on the computer, and I knew Rob had a bit of money, so I could go into certain ranges and this and that. And I saw this Durban, Cedars. Rob didn't want to, and it's my story and my experience, so forget about that name mentioning stuff, because this is how it happened. So I phoned this place, Cedars, because he didn't want to be in Cape Town. He wanted to go out of Cape Town. And I got this strange sounding man, and he said, what's he using? So I said, well, we're using about 10 grams of coke a day, and we're drinking like fish. And he said, get him on a plane, lad, get him on a plane. And I did that. I helped him get on a plane, and that's how it works. 2 years later, I wasn't going to swear. Fuck. 2 years later, Rob got clean, huh? My brother got clean. And he flew to Cape Town, picked me up, and took me to treatment. And that treatment center introduced me to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that has saved my life. Probably the lives of others. And that's all I've got to give on, to pass on to the still suffering addict, is the hope that there are people. I heard a share, it was suggested to me by one of the counselors. I heard a share by a guy called Kip C, and he just makes my story look like a cakewalk. You listen to this guy and you just think, what am I moaning about? Come on. And whoever you are, and whatever your rock bottom was, that's yours, and you earned it. It's not for me to sit and judge and think, who's he to be in recovery, or who's he to think he's an addict or an alcoholic. The only desire for the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. And it took me a lot of pain and a lot of isolation and a lot of resistance to get to that stage where my only option other than jails or death was the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know that. I didn't know that when my brother picked me up. I didn't know that when I'd had enough and I was sitting crying in the rain looking for my gun. I didn't know what I'd be given undeservedly given with love by Alcoholics Anonymous, because all things being equal, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve the love and acceptance I found in these rooms, or maybe I do. Maybe that's been a long realization, is that, I do deserve it. that same girl, Tam, who I was with for 17 years, in the two days before I came into rehab, I phoned her and I said, Tam, I'm finished, I'm broken, I can't, I've had enough. And she said, Craig, for whatever wrongs you think you've done, you've paid. You've hurt enough, you've paid enough, you've suffered enough, go get better. And it was incredible, you know what I mean? To hear someone that I'd wronged so much that still loved me unconditionally, to want me to just go and get better. For my mom, I spoke to her the other day on my 2 years. She said, well, actually I lie, I made it about me, she didn't say it, I said it. I said, oh, I've given you 2 years of peace. She said, geez, I'm grateful, Craig, thank you, you don't understand. I've got a brother, Mike, in active, and I love him dearly with all my heart, and it hurts me, but I know as I sit here, as my brother sat here 2 years ago, all he could do was let me go. And that's all I can do for Mikey. And yeah, maybe one day when he's ready, I'll be. That'll be 2. Fuck. Yeah, so enough about that. On to the good stuff. What's recovery given me? I looked up, I was going to put together like a whole share and have this amazing, profound ins and outs and talk you through the program, but I couldn't be bothered. It's about me. No, I'm joking. But I did look up the word to teach. Oh, you're so sweet. I did look up the word to teach. And to teach is to impart knowledge to someone, or through lessons and experience, show someone the right way. And then I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. Let me look up teachable. And it said the ability to learn to be taught. And that's what AA has given me. It's given me the ability to learn. I mean, the ability to be taught and to learn. It did also say underneath, when someone in brackets thinks they have it all figured out, that's unteachable. Which I thought, yeah, that's me. 28 years, I had it all figured out. Very, very unteachable. The last couple years in recovery, it's not unicorns and rainbows. It's not what you might be hoping it is. For those sitting at 7 days, 5 days. But I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lot better than it was. It's unfathomable how much joy and moments, individual moments I've had that string together kind of a happy existence. Whereas in active it was just shadowed by darkness, problem, no solution, loneliness, angst, fear, every waking moment waiting for the cops to knock on my... I haven't spoken to policemen for like 2.5 years. It's been great. Or 2 years. I haven't even, like I walk past them in the street and I look at them out the corner of my eye and they don't know me. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't live like that. I don't sit here without problems. I don't sit here without making mistakes, but I do sit here with a solution to my problems, and I get to learn from my mistakes in recovery. I had a job and I ended up involved in some bribes at work and stuff, and lie detector tests, and I spoke to my sponsor and I said, shit, I'm really disappointed in myself that at like a year I didn't have the integrity to say no
And he said, will you do it again? I said, not a chance. He said, there we go. And that's what it's been like for me. That's what recovery's been like for me. I've become teachable. And to be teachable, I need to be taught, which means it's not going to be without the mistakes, because no better teacher than a bit of pain, as our guru used to tell us, you know what I mean? And slowly over time, I think I'm starting to maybe understand one or two things he was trying to tell us. Probably not, though. But I'll learn it along the way. Pain will be there at every step of the way. And because I had managed to, because I thought I was like a quitters never win, winners never quit type of guy. And because I had held on so long and taken myself to where I'd taken myself, I really and truly can say that the first promise given to me was the desire to use has left me. From when I came to, 2 years after that golden thread was started in my journey with Rob and speaking to Keith up at the house. 2 years and a couple of days later, I woke up after sleeping for about a week with, "You all right, lad?" Jesus, what's going on here? But it was him, it was the voice, it was the guy I'd spoken to help my brother, and I knew I was going to be okay. I knew I'd come to the right place and I was going to be okay. For the newcomers, all I can say is I didn't find recovery in a day or a week or a year or these last 2 years. I find it daily. And I don't deserve what it's given me. And I'm truly grateful, and I'm going to leave it there. Thanks.